If you're wondering whether you're the narcissist in your relationship or your relationship with your ex, instead of the other person who seemed to be very emotionally abusive to you, you're definitely not alone. Actually, this is a super common question. And it's a good one because we know, well, at least now we know, there are a lot of narcissists in this world, aren't they? Well, too many. But if you're wondering whether you're one, stay tuned because we're going to cover that in this video. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina and I have a little confession to make. I went through a period probably similar to what you might be going through right now. But during this period, I seriously questioned whether I was a narcissist. Meaning, in the relationship that I had that was clearly toxic, clearly emotionally abusive, was I the abuser? Or was I one of the abusers? Maybe it was a relationship with two abusers. What is going on here? It took some serious digging for me to actually explore that and honestly answer the question for myself. And so I want to be able to help you do the same and answer that question thoroughly and honestly. All right, so let's dig in. First, I'm going to give you the instant gratification answer. If you are watching this video, if you are wondering whether you are a narcissist, meaning whether you might have narcissistic personality disorder, you are most likely not a narcissist. Why? Because narcissists, people with narcissistic personality disorder, aren't really capable of that level of self-reflection. So it's part of their persona, it's part of their disorder to think that they are always in the right, that whatever they do is what they should be doing and they are justified. And if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody like this, you know that they are masters of justifying bad behavior. So if you're questioning, if you're thinking, well, maybe I was the one who was wrong, you probably aren't the narcissist. Okay, so one really common reason why you might think that you are the abusive person is because if you were in a relationship with an emotionally abusive person, a narcissist, or even another emotionally abusive person, there are others. If you're in a relationship with somebody like this, it's common for them to reflect their bad behaviors, their insecurities, their issues on you. And to be honest, this is a problem that's not only specific to narcissism and narcissists. We kind of all do it on some level. If there's something that triggers you about someone else and you really start pulling on that thread and figuring out why it's triggering you, it usually comes back to you somehow. So it's common, and we know that narcissists have a lot of issues. They have a lot of things that they can project. So it's common for them to project their issues upon you. Now, why would you accept those issues? Why would you start even questioning whether that's you instead of them? Well, that one's easy because none of us are perfect, right? None of us are perfect. And we all are narcissistic on some level. So you might have behaviors, you might have acted in a way, maybe it was a one-time thing that they really called you out on, or maybe they're trying to figure out your thought process and they're touching on things, maybe some negative thought patterns that you've had, and they're calling attention to it. None of us are perfect, and that's why this can affect us so much when somebody projects that on you, because you know your flaws, and that again is another sign that you are not a narcissist. You may have some things to work on, and that's fine, we all do, but if you know you have to work on things, you're probably not a narcissist. The next reason why you might be questioning whether you're a narcissist after being in a relationship with one is that we tend to pick up habits and behaviors from the people we hang around with. You've probably heard that we're the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? Well, Your significant other is one of those people, actually a really big influence on you. So if you're around somebody who is flying into a narcissistic rage all the time, constantly triggered, or maybe they're gaslighting or giving the silent treatment, whatever it is that they're doing, whatever their go-to move is, you might pick that up. And you might not, but it's common for people to pick that stuff up. So if you do, don't feel bad, and you can definitely work through it. You might hear this referred to as picking up fleas. And that phrase basically describes picking up the bad, highly narcissistic tendencies from the person that you were in a relationship with. So there's an easy way to tell if this is what you're doing or if it was something a little bit deeper. So if you think you might have picked up fleas, just evaluate the behavior. Just call attention to what it is you think you're doing that might be narcissistic. Are you giving the silent treatment? Are you flying into fits of rage over something small? Or what exactly is the behavior? And then dissect it. Did you do that before you met this person? And if not, then it's a clear case of picking up fleas. If you have, then that brings us to the next reason why you think you might be the narcissist. And if this applies to you, then you had the behavior before you entered into the relationship with an emotionally abusive person. Now, I can almost see the wheels turning. You're thinking this is where I'm going to tell you that you're the narcissist, but you're wrong. Behaviors do not make a person a narcissist, and this is a little bit confusing. It's not the behaviors that make a person a narcissist. It's the narcissism that influences the person's behaviors. So this is why someone can pick up fleas and not be a narcissist. So you can have some bad habits and not actually be a narcissist. So there are some common characteristics that narcissists have. One of them, especially a big one, is a very impaired sense of empathy. And when you spend any significant amount of time with somebody, as you do in a romantic relationship, you'll know whether their empathy is real or fake in most cases, unless they're really, really good at hiding it. But in most cases, there will be times where they let that mask slip and you see they just do not care. You know, you could have been in a relationship with somebody for years and you're at a time where you need emotional support and none. It's almost like there's dead inside, you know? If this is you, you probably know that. If you struggle to find empathy when somebody else is struggling and clearly needs your support, if you feel like you have to fake it or you just want to walk away, then at least it is probably a good idea to talk to somebody about what's going on with you. Another one would be lack of object constancy. So when somebody is away from you, do you still love them? If you're in a relationship with somebody and they go on a trip, do you still feel like you love them? Do you still feel a connection with them? Do you still want them? Somebody with narcissistic personality disorder will struggle with this. There are common characteristics, and if you break down all the characteristics, you can start understanding why the behaviors are so common with people who have narcissistic personality disorders. But the behaviors do not make the narcissist. The narcissist makes the behaviors, if that makes sense. So really, bottom line, the characteristics allow them to abuse people. They allow them to abuse people without empathy, without caring about it, without feeling bad about it. And if that does not describe you, it doesn't matter if you've given the silent treatment. It doesn't matter if you use word salad when you get into an argument, or you could never admit when you're wrong. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters on some level. You should probably stop doing those things. I mean, we all have things we have to work on, but it doesn't mean you're a narcissist. And that brings me to the final point I want to make, is that a lot of people who get into relationships with narcissists and other emotionally abusive people, they usually, or I shouldn't say usually, but oftentimes they're raised by narcissists or raised in an environment where there is emotional abuse. And we already talked about how you can pick up fleas from the narcissist in your life, in your romantic relationship. Well, the same thing can happen in your childhood. Actually, it's more likely to happen in your childhood. So if you might have grown up thinking that certain behaviors were okay and normal, and then as you grow up, you realize that they're not. And it's just part of life. It's not, none of this is meant to judge anyone, actually. It's just meant for us to look at ourselves and see what we might want to change, what we might need to change to have healthier relationships. And to be honest, this is the exact experience that I had after realizing that I was in a relationship that was emotionally abusive. At first, I went through that phase where I was pointing the finger at the other person and saying, this person did this person did that, and why are they like this? And I was dissecting that, but then I realized that I had to look at myself also. Well, why was I doing the things I was doing? And I had some unhealthy behaviors. And why did I bring that into the relationship? And this is not to excuse anyone for their bad behavior. And no doubt, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you are not a narcissist, there's no doubt that they behaved much worse than you did. But it doesn't mean that we should turn a blind eye to the things that we could improve upon. So if you're wondering if you're the narcissist because maybe you've picked up fleas from the narcissist, or maybe you grew up with unhealthy behaviors, it's okay. We should never judge ourselves for where we are. And where we are is a great place because we can now identify and change those things. And here is where it's awesome, another time, where it's so great to not be the narcissist, because the narcissist, they can't really change. They can get treatment and they can improve, but they can't change like you and I can change. You can look at that one behavior that you might have picked up and say, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it might be a little bit of a journey, a little bit of trial and error and improving along the way, but you'll get there. And you'll get there much faster than somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, so that's all I have to say on the topic for now. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post new videos. Talk soon.